Welcome to GripeCast with your host, Alex Hernandez. This show is dedicated to consumer technology news and pop culture. GripeCast is owned by Techaeris. Visit Techaeris.com for the latest tech reviews, news, entertainment, and pop culture. Now sit tight, the show's about to begin. All right, welcome to the least listened to podcast on the internet. This is GripeCast episode 38. Finally, another episode of the GripeCast show for you to listen to and hopefully enjoy. I've been gone for a little bit. I apologize for not getting some podcasts out. I apologize for not getting content out that I have been getting out. I've been traveling a lot. I got back from South Korea, and man, I was just completely wiped. I mean, destroyed, decimated completely, physically and mentally, getting over that trip, just from the jet lag, I think. But, I have already taken a trip. Let's see, I previously went to Berlin, Toronto, Berlin, then Brazil, and then South Korea, all in the span of like 7 or 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. These trips have been like almost back to back, and it killed me. So, needless to say, I am very behind on not only podcasting, but on some videos and reviews. I've been really trying to catch up. Last night, I think, was one of the best nights of sleep I've had in weeks. I got, I think, 8 or 9 hours straight, not waking up. I'm back, though. I'm back for the least listened to podcast on the internet. Hopefully, you guys are, those of you who are listening, the privileged few, the elite of podcast listeners. That's my new line. I'm going to have to put that in somewhere. The least listened to podcast on the internet with the most elite listeners in the world. So I'm back, and there's been a lot going on. Obviously, right now, everybody's just swept up in the election stuff. Politics everywhere. That's how it's been the past year or two. Just politics. And so, everybody's talking about that stuff, which we're not going to talk about. But we are going to touch on kind of coming full circle on Google. I started GripeCast. And for those just joining us, for those of you watching on Rumble, on YouTube, and listening to the podcast on Substack, or listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or wherever you're listening, welcome. Thank you for joining the most elite listeners in the world. And I just, just a brief explanation of who I am and who we are here. My name is Alex. I started Techaeris.com 13, almost 14 years ago. And it's been a labor of love, but also very, very difficult, arduous journey as a small publisher, independent small publisher, to be successful. And this past year, Google has pretty much destroyed that, and I'm not the only one. So I'm going to kind of give a little bit of an update on that situation as this podcast rolls on. If you go back to my first couple of podcasts, you'll be able to get a little more of a picture if you want to go back and listen to those, to kind of refresh yourselves or to get more familiar with myself and the situation that we're in. So I started GripeCast because of Google and the situation that we faced with their algorithms and the situation we've been facing ever since then. And not only me, but us all small publishers. And 3 days ago, there's a small publisher named Giant Freaking Robot, which actually, this is the first time I've ever heard of them. And the same thing with HouseFresh is another small publisher. Lots of small publishers out there, and a lot of us don't even know about each other because we serve different type of content, different audiences, and different demographics. So us small publishers don't have a lot of time to browse around and read other websites. So first, let me explain something I think that needs explanation, because I think that what's getting lost in the mix here is the difference between niche website owners and small publishers. Niche website owners are website owners that create websites to drive traffic for ad revenue. So they'll create, let's say somebody buys 10 domain names with the intention of having 10 different niche websites. One might be recipes, one might be travel, one might be tech, one might be entertainment, another, so forth and so on. But these particular website owners don't produce content that's substantial. It's generic content, and it's only created. It's either AI created or created by a group that they'll hire writers to create content, and it's just kind of a generic content that they populate the website for, so that they can run ads and they can generate revenue. Those are niche website owners. The majority of them, I'm probably going to get some crap from some of them, but whatever. A lot of niche website owners, that's their business model. Where small publishers are different, because small publishers and independent publishers generally create a website, and that is what they do. That is what we do. We write about this specific topic. We cover this specific topic. And I don't have 9 other websites that I get revenue out of. I have one website. I write and I do reviews on this website, and that is it. So that is, to me, the difference between a niche website owner and a small publisher. Niche website owners are in it for the majority of them. The ones that abuse the system are the ones that are making websites that are low value to game the system and get ad revenue. So that is the explanation that I would say is for between the niche and the small publishers. So I fall in the small publisher, independent publishing category. We've been creating content. I've been creating content since 2013. Since before then, actually, before I had Techaeris, I was writing at other small publishers. But the way Google is going right now, they are they're killing independent publishing. Just like this article I have pulled up from Giant Freaking Robot, who the end of independent publishing and Giant Freaking Robot. So Joshua Taylor wrote this, and this website has decided that they're gonna shut down, and they're gonna go strictly to YouTube because the traffic is gone. And a lot of these publishers like us, losing 50, 60, 70, 80, some publishers 95% of their traffic. That is insane. And all because Google's algorithms changed in order to punish niche websites that were abusing the system. And small publishers have gotten caught up in that because we exhibit behavior. According to the algorithms, we exhibit behavior that looks like we're trying to abuse the system, and we're not. I run ads on my website, and I do have affiliate links, and I do have a lot of the stuff that they talk about. If you go in and you look at some of my stuff, you'll see there's advertisements here. I can't see the advertisements because my particular ad provider blocks the ads from me because I could sit here and look at advertisements all day and click on advertisements, but they would know that. So my IP gets blocked so that I'm not generating revenue for myself. That's the way for them to keep me from keep their users from abusing their system. So anyway, but you can, if I'm scrolling through here, you can see the advertisements that are there, and that's normal for a lot of small publishers. That's one of the ways that we generate revenue, and along with affiliate linking. If you go down to the bottom of my reviews, you have two buttons here: purchase from InCase and purchase from Amazon, and you have affiliate links there. And that's what we use to make money. That's how we make a living. That's how I feed my family. That's how I pay my bills. Content is not free, and somehow it has to be paid for. And that's unfortunately, Google created the ad revenue model, and now they're, I don't know what they're doing. All I know is they're killing us. But I'm going to go over this article a little bit from Joshua. He says, after relaunching Giant Freaking Robot in 2019, the site grew to a readership of more than 20 million a month through 2021 and 2022. Then Google decided they didn't want independent publishers around anymore. Most entertainment keywords have now been given to one big company, whose numerous sites own the top slots for nearly every entertainment-related query of any substance. And he's talking about Forbes and Reddit and all the big sites, So Google does give preferential treatment to certain sites and certain domains. No one can find our site. I'm going back to the article. No one can find our site to read it, so that 20 million unique visitors is now a few thousand a month. Nearly every independently owned entertainment news publisher is in the same situation in one way or another. Now, I'm going to stop here because one of the things that happened while I was out at South Korea is Google invited a bunch of independent publishers and small niche website owners to a creators summit over at their Google headquarters. They're fancy dancy, and they wine and dine these guys. For what reason, I don't know. They said they wanted feedback, but I personally don't believe that. I don't believe that they really give a crap about our feedback or about how we feel. But anyway, so he goes on to say, last week I was one of 20 independent publishers invited to an event at Google in Mountain View, California. I didn't know why I was going. I didn't know what would happen, and Google did not cover all my expenses. But I went because it was the only chance I had to save the jobs of the few employees Giant Freaking Robot has left. Unfortunately, if you read my account of the catastrophe, you know that instead of finding solutions, I received a clear signal from Google that they have no intention of allowing anyone to see Giant Freaking Robot's work. Google engineers were adamant that there's no problem with our website or our content. In fact, some of the geeky Googlers there regularly read our articles and seem to genuinely like us. However, my takeaway was that we don't fit in with the search monopoly's new business model, and so we won't be shown to anyone. That business model seems to largely revolve around pleasing big brands. During the course of our conversation with Google, an independent site owner asked why a best shoes to buy, not the actual keyword analyzed, just an example, list from a big retailer like Nike always seems to outrank a best shoes to buy from an actual unbiased reviewer. Google's response was to ask, well, if we don't rank those big brands first, won't they be mad? Unable to help myself, I blurted out, who cares? Reviewing things isn't their business. Selling shoes is. The Googler in charge ignored my answer. So Joshua makes a great point. A lot of the rankings are going to the big businesses, and honest reviewers are getting shut out. So that really hurts you as a consumer when you can't find an actual review that was done by a person and someone that actually handled the product. A lot of these websites are putting up reviews that they're not handling the product. They're just making a list and, just from, a lot of times just from Amazon, like just ratings from Amazon. So Joshua goes on to say the end of Giant Freaking Robot. The situation might change at some point someday. For now, there's no reason to expect a better future, and the holiday season is fast approaching. Last thing I want to do is send Giant Freaking Robot's brilliant and talented staff to the unemployment lines on Christmas Eve. So I've decided to shut down new article publishing on Giant Freaking Robot now rather than wait and continue to hemorrhage money as we stomp our way toward inevitable bankruptcy. So he goes on to say he's going to do YouTube and some other things. I'll link this down below so you can read the entire article. But he goes on to talk about the state of independent publishing. So Giant Freaking Robot isn't the first site to shut down. Hundreds of independent publishers, including Techaeris, have shuttered in the last 2 years. Well, we have not shuttered yet, but I'm soldiering on, guys. I'm on my own, but I'm not stopping. And Google be damned, I'm not stopping right now. We're going to continue and see what we can do. That's all you can do. So he goes on, and thousands more on the way. I'm in communication with dozens of other independents focused on different topics. None of them are doing well. They all expect to be out of business soon. I went to Google directly on their behalf and told them about the problem. The message I walked away with was, they don't care. Our industry is done. Future entertainment news and opinion will come from AI recaps scraped and stolen from our archived content or from the big media companies backed by hedge funds that Google has chosen as its designated survivors. I published my first article online in 1997, a submission I sent into IGN on a lark. I wrote it during less busy working hours at the Austin insurance agency where I was part-time employed as a glorified gopher. I think that I had something to do with Saturday Night Live. So he goes on to talk about his history. Started in 97, and now here he is. How old media money subverted the open internet. Okay, he goes on to talk about that set. This is a good portion here. How independent publishers are kept under control. Every now and then, the cap Google places on independent publishers slips. When they do, our content takes off like a rocket ship, quickly eclipsing everything the corporate monoliths spew online. Google and social networks soon realize what has happened and cap it back off again. But those brief windows we independent publishers have gotten into what the internet could be like if we weren't being artificially limited have been educational. The independent publisher cap slammed down hard on Giant Freaking Robot back in 2022 when we were the only independent publisher in the world to make it on the Chartbeat's annual list of the most read stories of the year. It got a lot of positive publicity because it became so unusual for an independent publisher to do so well. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he makes a great point because I remember there was a time when we were showing up in Google News and Google Discover, and we were getting a good amount of traffic. We were getting good reads, and then it would stop, and then it kicked back up really high again. And it wasn't a consistent thing all the time to get really high numbers. We had a consistent number base, but we didn't. But every once in a while, we would hit like a peak, and I know what he's talking about. That they see that, and then it's like they turn it down. It's like, oh no, that site is, Techaeris has gotten a lot of views this month. We got to turn it down. So I get all that. So he goes on to talk about all this stuff, and goes on to thank his audience. So I'm hoping that, I looked at some of his X posts, and I'm hoping that he doesn't quit, and I'm hoping a lot of these independent publishers and small content creators are not quitting. I'm certainly not going to quit. I am here to do as much as I can, and my camera's drifting. I think I have a setting on there. Anyway, I'm trying to continue to keep this going because I really love what I do. I love what I do. I love reviewing tech. I've been enjoying making these podcasts, and I hope that you guys have been enjoying listening to them. It started off as a GripeCast, and that's why it's called GripeCast, so I can complain, and it kind of morphed into the other things, and I've been doing other things. This year's been rough. Been rough on views for the site, But there's been a lot of good things too. A lot of good things. I've been traveling a lot, been interacting with brands a lot more this year. And I appreciate all the brands that I work with and all the PR people that I work with. And I appreciate my audience especially. And, I joke about this being the least listened to podcast on the internet. But I'm not joking that I have the most elite listeners. I'm not joking that I have the most elite audience members. You guys over the years that have supported me, I couldn't do this without you. All the way back to my Google Plus days, up until now, I can't do any of this without you guys. So I just appreciate it. Thanks for letting me vent on these podcasts. I know sometimes I can draw on and just keep, talking about nonsense. It's not nonsense, but hopefully it's just a time, a 20 or 30 minute portion of your day that you're spending with me that you can just listen to me talk and hopefully get to know me in a different way. Through my travels, I've gotten to talk to a lot of people lately, and it's been fun. And I've met people that I've seen online and personalities, I guess you can call them. And what you see online isn't always what you get with most people. And I like to think that that's not true of me. What you see online is who I am. I'm not here to act. I'm not here to perform. I'm not here to do any of those things. I'm here to review freaking tech and do those type of things and inform you guys as best as I can with my opinions. And I don't have time for games. And I try not to play games. I'm not a game player like that. Speaking of games, I do have to get, for those of you who've been waiting for the PC Gamer Part 2, I got to work on that hopefully this weekend, and I'll have that out later. I have not, I got everything set up. I want to go over, the next thing I want to go over is what my setup is and what gear I have, and kind of tell you what I'm doing with that. I haven't had time to play games, and man, November is here. December is coming. I am going to be gone almost the entire month of December. I will be working, but I'll be working from a remote location. I won't have access to my desktop. So this whole PC console gamer takes on PC gaming series is probably going to have to wait until after CES. But, and I knew I should have, I wish I would have started this earlier in the year, but I've been busy. As much as Google has screwed things up for my site, I've been busy. So thank God for that. So not, I don't want to, I didn't want to, when I started this podcast, it was like I said, griping and complaining, and there was some doom and gloom there, right? But I really want to be positive. God is good, and I know that we are going to recover, and whatever way that is, it may be a different path. It may be a different way of creating content. I don't know. I'm trying new things. I'm doing new things. We've had some great opportunities this year. I've had some great opportunities. I'm very appreciative of that. There's some things that on these trips that I've taken, I can't talk about certain things because I am under embargo. So you won't see videos on that right now. But it's not all doom and gloom. I'm not jumping on here. I don't want to jump on here. And I don't want you guys to be like, oh, feel sorry for Alex. I don't want to feel sorry for myself. I'll admit there's days that's challenging. There's days where it's like, man, I don't even want to keep going. But I've been feeling good the past couple months. The past 6 or 7, 8 weeks. All these trips have been good for me. For my attitude, they've been good for me. But for my sleep, they've been really bad for me because I've been exhausted physically. So I gotta play catch up. So let me drop this podcast. let me drop you guys off. We will exit the vehicle, drop you off at your destination here, as we let you go off of this episode of GripeCast, the least listened to podcast on the internet. I should be back next week with another podcast, and then I'm going to see about working. I actually have the iPhone 16 Pro Max coming tomorrow, so I will probably have an unboxing and overview video on that, and maybe a side-by-side comparison with the 15 Pro Max. Short video on that. Maybe tomorrow I will drop that. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening, for spending time with me. Thank you for supporting me. That is the biggest thing. Your support is what is going to help us to get back into the game. Help me to get back on the radar. Liking, sharing, commenting. I don't always get to every comment. I try to, but I'm a one-man band, and it does get difficult on the number of social media platforms that I'm currently on. So, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe on Rumble, subscribe on YouTube, and follow me on X, and follow me on whatever social media platform I am currently posting on. I've left a couple of them just because they have been hard to break. So I have to concentrate on what's working, and that's what we're doing. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Remember, be kind. Kindness goes a long way, and we will talk to you on the other side.